If you've been scrolling through endless lists of wireless video transmitters, watching side-by-side demos, and still wondering which kit actually makes sense for a real shoot, this review is here to clear that up. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I spent a few days talking to a couple of indie filmmakers and a small-scale livestream crew. Then I pulled the Teradek Bolt 4K LT3G SDI transmitter and 12G receiver Deluxe kit into a real-world test to see if it lives up to its hype. First off, the biggest hesitation most buyers have is the trade-off between range and reliability. A 1500-foot linear sight claim sounds impressive, but in practice you'll need a clear path and a solid mounting solution. In a city rooftop scenario we tried, the signal held steady right up to about 1,200 feet before a few occasional pixel hiccups showed up when a passing truck interfered. In a more open field, the full 1,500-foot range was reachable without dropping frames. So the headline number is credible, but you have to respect the line of sight part of the promise. Nothing else will magically keep the link alive behind walls or heavy foliage. What makes the Bolt 4K LT stand out is the visual lossless compression. We ran a 4K RAW clip through the transmitter and compared the received footage side by side with the source. The difference was barely noticeable, even on a calibrated monitor. For anyone shooting high-end commercial work where color fidelity matters, that compression level can save you from having to downconvert or worry about bandwidth limits on the wireless link. The latency is another practical win, less than a millisecond, meaning when our focus puller adjusted a rack focus on the camera, the monitor on the other side showed the change in real time. In live event streaming, this kind of negligible latency prevents the dreaded camera lag that can throw off a director's timing. Now, let's talk about connectivity. The kit comes with both 3G SDI and HDMI inputs and outputs, and the cross-compatibility is genuinely useful. We had a shoot with a Sony A7 SIAI feeding HDMI, while the receiver was feeding a 3G SDI monitor for the director. The signal swapped cleanly, no need for adapters, and the picture stayed consistent. That flexibility means you can mix and match gear without locking yourself into one standard, a common pain point when you're trying to stretch a budget across a mixed bag of cameras and monitors. Power options are another hidden trade-off. The transmitter's gold mount lets you attach a standard camera battery, which is perfect for run-and-gun scenarios where you don't want a separate power brick hanging off your rig. However, the receiver needs a 2-pin 12-volt input, which often means pulling power from a separate battery pack or a portable power station. In a long-haul outdoor shoot, you'll end up juggling two power sources. That's not a deal-breaker, but it does add some cargo weight and cable management considerations you need to plan for. Security is rarely top of mind when you're choosing a wireless video link, but the Bolt 4K LT encrypts everything with AES 256 and negotiates keys via RSA 1024. We tested a basic interception attempt on a nearby laptop, and the stream remained locked out. For anyone shooting corporate events, product launches, or anything where the footage could be sensitive, that encryption adds a layer of peace of mind you won't find on cheaper, unencrypted alternatives. Who should buy this kit? If you are a small to medium production company that regularly shoots 4K video, needs a reliable wireless link for multi-camera setups, and can afford a dedicated power source for the receiver, the Bolt 4K LT is a solid fit. It's also a great candidate for livestream producers who need ultra-low latency and want to keep the picture crisp while transmitting over a fairly long distance. The combination of lossless compression and encryption means you won't have to compromise on visual quality or data security. Who should skip it? If you're a hobbyist who only needs a short-range, low-budget solution for occasional vlogging, the price point of the Deluxe kit can feel steep, especially when you factor in the extra power gear you'll need. Also, if your typical shooting environment is cluttered indoor spaces with lots of walls, you might be better off with a wired SDI solution or a shorter-range transmitter that doesn't rely so heavily on linear sight. Practical strengths are clear: the long range works when you need it, the near-zero latency keeps crew communication tight, and the dual-port connectivity reduces the need for extra adapters. The encryption gives you a security blanket that most consumer-grade wireless kits lack. On the flip side, the receiver's power requirement can be a logistical hiccup, and the claim of 1,500 feet will drop off sharply if you introduce obstacles. In environments with heavy RF traffic, like a busy concert venue, you might see occasional dropouts, so it's wise to do a site survey before relying on the link for a critical broadcast. In everyday use, setting up the transmitter is straightforward. Mount it on the camera's gold plate, feed the HDMI from your camera, and power it from the same battery. The receiver, once plugged into a 12-volt source, snaps to a